chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly. Rotherham United's pathway back to the championship is opening up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk, the Rotherham United podcast. We are back for a summer catch-up and a check-in. We've been about a month or so since the last episode, and not a lot's happened, but bits have happened. So we're going to have a chat about rumours that have come in, players that have gone, staff that have come in, and everything else that has happened in the last month or so. And we'll see where we go from there. First of all, Mick's back. How you doing, Mick?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm not too bad. I mean, you've scheduled this halfway through a Grand Prix, which I'm not massively pleased about. I'm not going to lie. But there you go.
Yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And Steve's back with us. How you doing, Steve?
I'm all right, gents. Good to see you again. By the way, Mick, the one that's at the front now is probably going to win the race.
Yeah, not necessarily.
I don't know who it is, but it's,
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, they don't pass each other very often, do they?
No. And one of the things we were asked in the post-season survey was to get some new voices on. So we did. Andrew is with us, actually for the second time because you came on for the fan show. But Andrew's with us. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Good, gents. Thanks very much for inviting me back.
Good to have you with us. Scott Kent's with us, as is Neil Bolton and Paul Rose this evening. Thank you for giving me an excuse to take a break from the stripping the wallpaper. Right? Pleasure. Happy to help. Cheryl Stone's with us. Steve Gauntley is with us, and Brian Vernon says, I hope. Love the kits. Very optimistic this time around. I'm sure that'll disappear. We were optimistic this time last year as well. Right. It seems like a million years ago, but we haven't talked about Hacks leaving, I don't think. So I think we should just quickly tick that off now that it is officially gone, Mick. Not really surprised. It's disappointing, very disappointing, because it was one of the best performances last year. But these things happen, sadly, on a regular basis for us.
Yeah, they do, don't they? I'm hugely disappointed that he's gone. I think he's probably made the right decision for himself, for his career. It's disappointing for us. But like you said, I'm regularly doing it. We lost Victor last year. We lose Axe this year. It's football. It is what it is. So he's been a fantastic player for us. And I've said it loads and loads of times. He, for me, he epitomises what a Rotherham United player is. He's heart on his sleeve, and he's a full 100% no matter what. Fully committed to it. And he's done a lot of work off the field as well. So, everything you would want from a player, and I just wish him all the best. For his wherever he goes next, so long as it's not somebody in League One who we're going to be playing next season. In which case, I hope that week he's going to tweak injury. Tweaks his hamstring for that week or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. Paul Rhodes, good we lost him. Hope he gets a decent team. Were you surprised, Andrew? I just felt like it was coming. Was there any surprise at all for you?
Nah, I think it were always going to be on cards. I think his agent would have got in his ear, there's a chance he's going to earn a few quid extra, and would we not do the same? I mean, I think it's disappointing in one respect because he was probably our best player last season. It was one that's still one of a handful that tried, but ultimately, when it came up, I think my son was a bit gutted, but we expected it.
Yeah, we did, absolutely. How big a loss is it, Steve? I know this is difficult to say because we don't know who's coming in, and it will depend on the business, really. But a lot of what Hacks brings is versatility and everything else feels very difficult to replace in one player. You've got to get a new central midfield, you've got to get some defender, you've got to get somebody who can cover midfield and everything else that comes along with it. It feels like a pretty big loss, to be honest with you, losing Hacks for a number of reasons.
Yeah, he's that famous utility player, and he was so good at it. I mean, when Hammy came, I actually thought maybe there's a chance, but I mean, it was very quick after the season ended that he said, sorry, but I'm going. And I don't blame him. And like you guys, I wish him all the very best because he's been brilliant for us. And let's face it, even though he's been around for 4 years, we've not really won many games. So it can get a bit wearing, that, can't it? Yeah. Even though he has been brilliant himself generally. Again, as you say, I don't know what to say or how to answer that question until we know what we've got coming in. Because at the moment, we can't replace him with anybody else in the squad. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, this time last year, we might have been able to comment better because we'd already had about 342 players through the door, haven't we? But this year, none. And I'm hoping that it's going to be a little bit more better thought out and more constructive. So, yeah, not much else to say. But good luck, Axe. Thanks for the memories.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick says if he goes to a championship club, then fair play. I hope he does well. Just please don't go to League One. I think it wouldn't surprise me to say in League One or Luton or something like that. I could see that. Yeah. They could pay more money in the weekend. They've got better prospects than us, so that wouldn't be a surprise at all. Although I think there were whispers earlier, Scotland, weren't there? Dundee United, I think, was linked early on. We'll see. We'll see what happens with him. Let's just wrap up the other contract news because there isn't really any. The youngsters have signed. Josh Ayres and Hamish Douglas have re-signed for another year each, I think. Josh Coyote and Kim McGuckin, the offers are still on the table. There hasn't been any confirmation that they're staying. The one that is still ongoing, Chris Taylor says, we're giving Humphreys an extended time to make his mind up. Is that a good sign? We had this conversation last year the year before, so with Smithy and Icky, Mick. And as long as you're not putting all your eggs in the Cam Humphreys basket, I don't mind.
No.
If there's somebody better or as good as Cam Humphreys, go and sign him, and then you take the deal away. If not, and we can't sign him yet, you may as well just hang on and see if he signs. And I don't suspect we're begging him and groveling, that kind of thing. Here was the deal. It's been an holiday for about a month or something, based on his Instagram, I think. So I don't mind. Just as long as it's done by pre-season training for a current player, I don't mind.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I get the impression that Cam Humphreys is a pretty laid-back character. Am I underselling that a bit?
Absolutely not.
I reckon he'd probably stay under the new manager, under Matt Hamshaw. I'm sure he would. But with these things, it's not just his decision, is it? He's going to have his agent in his ear constantly, who's going to want his cut of any transfer. So, as far as agents are concerned, it's in their interest for players to move because obviously that's how they make their money. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm happy. I'd love him to stay. He's a quality footballer, despite the fact that the last season maybe he's not been. Well, since he came back from injury, he's not been the player that he was before that. But you've also got to factor into that the sort of Evans factor as well, haven't you? Whether he or anyone else wants to play under that regime. So for me, I'll give him as much time as he wants, really. But he needs to be signed by pre-season or a decision made by pre-season. So yeah, I don't know whether it's a good sign or a bad sign. Quite frankly, I don't know.
It's what it is. Yeah. As you say, he's been on holiday for the last 4 weeks because he's all over Instagram. So he's given himself plenty of thinking time. And as Mick says, when he gets back, his agent's going to have to sit down with him and basically make their mind up what his next step is. Personally, I don't think he'll sign.
I think we've got. I'm sorry, Steve. I'm going to say I think he's got more chance of staying now than he would have done 12 months ago. If this had been the case 12 months ago after the season he had, because it was really good. And like Mick says, his form dropped off this season, made a few mistakes. Looked like he really didn't want to be here, but I think that was the regime as opposed to anything else. But I think when pre-season will start relatively soon, I don't know what the date to come back, but we've got Parkgate on the 4th of July, is it? So with it normally a few days before that, isn't it? So I suspect he'll be sat on Copacabana or wherever he's been thinking about it.
Yeah, I think so. 10 minutes in, Mick's getting some first bit of abuse of the new period. Yes! Love it, Neil. Get in there, lad. Mick talks some rubbish. Cam Agent will get paid if he signs a new deal with us. Yeah,
yeah, he might do, but he won't get paid as much as if he signed a decent deal at Pigs or at Sheffield United or wherever. So,
tend to get more money for moving clubs because of sign-on fees.
yeah, precisely, yeah.
But to credit the club a little bit here, Andrew, is that there was a link. Now, links are rumours. We saw something on the Football League World, which are very, very hit and miss. But they linked us with Jonathan Tompkinson, as a central defender from somewhere else. But my understanding, what I've heard of him, is a very similar Camelford player. He's a technical player. He's not Sean Raggett. He's a technical player. The club are clearly getting out there and doing something. If either as well as Cam or instead of, so we're not sitting on his laurels, which is what I think worries us sometimes.
Well, I think we did that way. Maybe hopefully we learned from the Smithy and Icky debacle when we put us all his eggs in that basket, and then we ended up with Tom Eaves when Smithy left as the replacement. And whilst the kid tried hard, he wasn't the best one. So at least we are. I think it's slightly worried, isn't it, from the outside point of view? You kind of think, oh, nothing's happening, but they will be looking, and it'll be it's the old swan thing, isn't it? Under the water, the legs are going, but they look graceful on top. So it's just hoping that they are looking at those alternatives. And if this, I didn't even know of that link, to be fair, with Tompkinson. So at least they are doing things.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig Mill says Cam won't be here. Wanted out under Evans. Yeah, I think I probably agree with Steve. So I think he'll go, but time will tell. We'll have to wait and see him on that one. Let's pick up today's rumour, which is Brendan. We think Brendan Wyadu. We didn't know. That's his best guess. He's a fullback captain from Fleetwood. We've bid money. We bid cash. In the article by Alan Nixon, it says ambitious Rotherham United. It's not very often we get called ambitious in the transfer market. I don't know if he knows something that we don't. But I don't know if you know anything about the guy, Steve, but the fact we're willing to try and shell out a bit of money for somebody this early in pre-season is a good sign. Fleetwood fans seem disappointed in the prospect he might leave. Having not seen him, he kind of ticks all the boxes I look for from that sense, with the opposition fans being disappointed he might leave.
Well, I remember watching us play Fleetwood in the Carabao, was it? And they gave us a right run around. And I vaguely remember him at the back. He's handy with the ball from what I remember. But I thought Fleetwood would do better as a team from that performance onwards, but they didn't. But they've evidently been watching him, and he's got potential, I think. 300 grand is the rumoured offer, which for us is quite a bit of money, isn't it? I mean, I remember the days when everything we bought was 30 grand. Through the 80s and 90s, 30 grand. But 300 grand is a starting point. I think it's one of them where if it's true, we'll edge it up a bit, and you might end up going for $500,000. You just don't know. It's your starting point.
Yeah, the Fleetwood Twitter suggested around their fans reckon around 400,000 or 500k, somewhere between 400,000 and 500k would be the what they expect to get for him. Scott Kent saying a very good player. Craig Mill says Fleetwood guy is their best player, young, aggressive, can play. He's 25, which is what we've been asking for. Mate. This time last year we were saying it's good to get the experience in. But what we learned from that was you need those players that are not 25 is not young, but youngish, young enough to that's going to be hungry and is athletic, like we think so. He's in the area I'm looking for a mould of player and an age bracket of player and everything else that comes along with. He's a captain, I think, as well. Captain at 25 for Fleetwood as well. At 25, he's obviously a leader in their dressing room as well, which again is something we feels like we've been missing a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember being part of that conversation when we said it was good about good to get experience in, but I'll let you have that one. I must have been asleep for that one.
That probably.
No, it ticks all the boxes by the sounds of it. So I've never seen him play, or I've never been aware of him playing. So, yeah, the information that's the small amount of information that's coming out of the club at the moment, which is mainly rumours as well. Everybody seems to be that they're different kinds of players than what we went for last year. And God, that could only be a good thing. But he's players with prospects, players who are likely to have a sell-on value if we're ever able to get out of this habit of letting contracts run down. So, yeah, it all sounds good to me. And hopefully the wheels are going to start turning a little bit quicker now. They're going to have to, aren't they? 15th of June now, excuse me, we can't be more than 2 weeks away from pre-season starting. It's we've got to start getting some players in now. So I think these next 2 weeks we're going to start maybe doing a few more of these podcasts.
We'll see.
Not sure I'm keen on that. I enjoy the break, to be honest.
I might have to wake up a bit more.
Scott Kent and Craig saying he's versatile. Plays midfield, fullback. Gigway could fill Hack's role potentially as well. Andrew Cook saying if bigger clubs are in for him, we've no chance. Possibly, Andrew, but we're a relatively big club for League One. I know Luton are really big because of where they've just come from, but us, Blackpool, they're all. Other than Luton, maybe the rest of the League One, all same in terms of big size clubs. So I'm not worried anymore that Birmingham are going to come in and put an extra 0 on his contract or anything like that. It feels a more competitive League One than it has been for possibly a little while, with Wednesday and Ipswich and everybody else before that as well.
Yeah. I think it was linked to both Charlton and Huddersfield because I googled him just before to see and got catch something, but it was linked to both of them. I don't know at what point that was, but it was definitely in the last 6 months. So obviously other teams have fancied him as well. And at 25, is the type of player you want, a captain, somebody who's going to be missed by the team that they're leaving. And you'd like to think as recruitment is going to change a little bit. It felt a bit scattergun for the past couple of years, a bit desperate at times. But I know people used to hit him with a stick with it, but we're good human beings. Let's get people who want to play for the shirt again, and not just coming for the salary.
Yeah, I agree. Brian, I said it's starting to feel like getting the soul of our club back a little bit. I think these players will hopefully fit into that. We had a question from Kaylee back. Do you think Wilkes will come back? Does anybody have a view on that? I think I'd be surprised.
Very surprised if you did. Very surprised.
Were you on 20 grand a week at Wednesday or something like that? Yeah, not a chance.
Well, it cost a lot of money, and we had this. I think we had this chat, didn't we, towards the back end of the season? Is he worth that extra bunch? And I know he's a really, really good player, but it depends what else you're after and how far your budget goes, I think. And I think he'll attract a bigger club than us that can pay him the salary he's on now. But again, I could be wrong. I'd love to be proven wrong because I'd love to see him back. But
yeah,
I think we're going for a clean sheet. A start from the beginning. I mean, that Waidu, he's sort of a similar profile to Semi Ajayi when he came. Versatile, athletic. Can deal with the ball. So that's the sort of thing we want. Somebody who can move at least.
That helps.
I think. I think with Wilkes, I think Scott's mentioned it in the comments there. I'm not convinced he's a Matt Hampshire type of player. And he's got that swagger about him. He's got that attitude about him, and it's that kind of on-pitch personality, because that's all we can comment on, isn't it? We obviously don't know what people are like off the pitch. But is he a team player? I think is probably the question you've got to ask. And I accept that given the way that we've played this season, we've not been a team, so he's not really had the opportunity to be a team player, if that makes sense. But I get the feeling he has to be centre of attention. He likes to be the centre of attention.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. I don't mean that as a criticism. But I don't think Hampshire really would entertain that kind of personality within the team. It's got to be all about the team rather than the individual. And I think Malik Wilkes is a wonderful, wonderful footballer on his day, and an amazing footballer on his day. But I'm not convinced. I'm not 100% certain how much of a team player he is. And I think couple that with bringing him in and paying him, I can't see him coming back. Frankly, I just can't.
It's how frequent that day was as well. Is that on his day? It was fantastic. But it was like me and my lad or me and my mates would say, "Oh, this is his game. He'll disappear for 5 games again." And that's kind of felt what it was like. And I don't. He's a luxury player, isn't it? And I'm not like that. I think I agree with everybody. He's not an Hampshire type of player. I think Hampshire wants everybody fighting in that same direction.
Yeah, I agree. The only other transfer rumour that is alive at the minute is Craig Miller. I hope the Johnson Clark Harris rumour to Bristol Rovers, get some more budget freed up. The Bristol Rovers fans are really, really excited about the potential, Andrew, of Johnson Clark Harris going back to them. And Rotherham fans are as excited as them. It's great.
We were though, weren't we? Do you know when he came in last season? We were buzzing, and then we got the Johnson Clark Harris that we got for the majority of his initial period at the club. He was built like an house. I mean, you wouldn't want to mess with him, but his mobility is just not. It's not there at all, and still got a shot on him. But he wasn't the player we expected to get out of it. I would be more than happy if he left. I'd happily drive him down to Bristol if he required that. But it didn't work out for him, I don't think, and I can't imagine him again being an I'm sure type of player.
No, I agree. And to be fair to him, Steve, I think League Two is potentially perfect for Josh Clark Harris because there's not much running like because a lot of pitches are crap, and he can bully a lot of their defenders, and he'll probably get 20 plus goals for Bristol Rovers in an half decent team. I think it would be a really good move for him as well as us.
Agree entirely. Like Andrew, I'd drive him down there. I think he's been, again, not being personal to him, but I don't think he's given value for money at all. No. Not that some of the other players have, but he used to have pace and be a similar type player to what he is now, but now he's a similar type player without pace. He just can't move. And the Bristol Rovers fans, I mean, I know a couple of them because I work, my work means that I communicate with Bristolians, and they are quite excited at having him back. And I remember being down there when he scored against us when we lost 1-0, sort of 4 or 5 years ago. And he was good. He was still good then. He still had a turn on him. But they don't know what he's like. They haven't seen him for the last year. So I think we've better just keep quiet, just in case they change their minds.
Yeah, that's fair. UTM13 says, can they take Hugill as well?
Hugill's been doing fitness, and he's been putting it on Instagram or Twitter or something every single day, pretty much.
Yeah.
I wonder whether we're going to get some kind of brand new version of him.
Maybe.
It shows how bad Clark Harris were, because at the kind of last dying embers of the season, I was wanting Hugill to come on instead of Clark Harris, and I can't even remember a time when that happened. So there's obviously a player in Hugill. He's shown in glimpses with the right manager and with that right encouragement, in just getting into his head and thinking, at the end of the day, he's going to be here for another year unless somebody wants him. Just try hard. You might get yourself a nice contract at the end of this year. And then we'll reap benefits of that.
Yeah. Craig Miller's thoughts on Hugill. Should we try and offload him or build a team around him, get him some service? With who we think we're going to bring in, Mick, in terms of age profile, which we think is going to be well below 30, he could end up being one of the most experienced guys in the squad. So it could be really, really useful because he is useful off bench. It could do what Stephen Fletcher did for Wrexham to an extent last year. You can bring him on for 20 minutes, half an hour. Could be a nuisance. We'll pump long for 20 minutes and we'll see what happens. The problem is it's on a lot of money. So that's your problem. But if he stays, when Hugill's on it, I like Hugill. We saw it in the first 6 months or so in the Championship when he won us a couple of games through the goals. It's just, Andrew's right. You've got to make sure he wants it. And if Hugill wants it, he will be really useful for that, I think.
I agree. 100%. I agree. I think he has underperformed. There's no question about that. He's underperformed. And I'm sure he knows that. He's not had the motivation to perform for the last season. Why would he? You know? He's a quality footballer, I think, and I think he will be very, very useful for us if he's managed the right way. I don't think he's a player that will take to being screamed and shouted at. I think he's an arm around the shoulder kind of player. And if he can get into his head, he's certainly got the talent to score a hatful of goals in this division, even at the age that he's at now. But you've got to give him the service. We said this about Clark Harris, you know, but when he got the service, he still couldn't hit a bull's arse with a shovel, could he? So, you know, that's how he is. That's the stage that his career is at. But I don't think Hugill's like that. I think I'd keep him. I would definitely keep him. Not least because nobody else probably wants him. But he did well. It's like you probably can't on
your hands how many games he played, one hand how many games he played well. But the Bolton game when we were under the cosh, we were 1-0 up, and we brought him on. He did exactly what you wanted him to do, and it's the stuff that we've been criticising him for. But he came on, he won fouls, he fell over at the slightest touch, got his fouls, and that's the type of player that you're thinking actually it can have a benefit. And if you chuck a few goals in there, get crosses into the box, which we didn't do this season, he's going to score goals. So maybe we're just seeing it through rose-tinted specs. I don't know, but there's something there in that hopefully we can find this season.
Let's hope so.
It's this fitness stuff that he's doing that has just made my head or my eyes pop out. Because I didn't see that last season and the season before. And I know that I think they all know that they're going to get beasted during the first week. I think they start 30th or something like that. They're going to get absolutely run to death. So he's going to have to be. They're all going to have to be as fit as they possibly can before they even start that bit. So you never know. You just never know. We live in hope that he'll turn up and it's a new version. He's got a little tiny bit more pace and he looks really interested in it. Then he will be good because Mick's right. He's a good footballer. You don't go for millions to West Ham for nothing.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. Right, let's move on away kind of non-pitch stuff. The couple of coaching appointments have been confirmed. Richard Wood came in. Well, again, it feels like an age ago, but Richard Wood has been confirmed as a first-team coach. Dale Tom was confirmed last week as the assistant manager. It's difficult to judge either of them, Steve, because we don't see anything that's done off-field. But Dale Tom comes with a very good CV. I think he was at Barnsley. He's been at Peterborough for a while. He was assistant at Hearts briefly as well for a little bit with one of the former Barnsley managers. He's a former Miller, so he knows the club a little bit as well. I'm as positive as I can be without knowing anything about that side of the game, really.
I think he ticks all boxes. I mean, first and foremost, we've got him from Peterborough, so there will be a slight edge of pissed offness from Darren McAntony. Anything to rub him up the wrong way. Ex-Miller, knows the club, understands the club. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he had a little spell where he was helping out Warney at one point, wasn't he? In the last few years. So he's always had that connection. He wants to get back up here to his family. I think it's it's a really good appointment on the face of it. And Hammy knows him, likes him. What's not to like, really? And Woody, Woody might do a bit of coaching, but he's going to be great in that dressing room and around the lads because, let's face it, nobody has got Rotherham over the last 5 to 6 years more than Woody. So, good for me.
Yeah, and I think the appointments complement each other quite well, Andrew, because I agree with you, Steve. I don't think Woody's a coach. No. Matt Hamshaw's a coaching manager because we know because of what he did last time, and Dale Tom's a pretty good coaching assistant manager. So then Woody almost becomes a manager within that team. Is more of a man manager than a coach, I think. So on the face of it, it seems like a really, really nice balance that they've got there.
It feels really positive. I think every single appointment that's been made, you kind of expected it all along. You were like, you expect Woody to come in, and then people start talking about Dale Tom. You expected both, but I completely agree. You've got two coaches there, something we've missed and we haven't had for the last year. And then you've got Woody in there, who was that go-between between the coaches and the playing staff. Not long since out of the dressing room, just still gets that camaraderie, can still be that link and kind of soften the messages, deliver the messages that I'm not sure that Hammy's going to be delivering a harsh message, but can be the sort of soften the blow sometimes if required. He's Rotherham United from through. He is for the last few years Rotherham United from through. Is Woody, and he'll just get it. And it's a good opportunity for a guy who, in reality, I think long term we see as a potential Rotherham United manager as well. So if he's getting experience in the club with an inexperienced coaching staff as well, he'll be able to add a fair bit to that. And then you just never know where it's going to go. But I do feel positive about it, really positive. That might change middle of August, but at the moment I do feel positive about the coaching staff.
Yeah, I completely agree. Right, let's touch on to other stuff. There was a club update, Mick, which was weird and very, very welcome. It was the first time we've ever done one of those. And it was a big article saying this is happening, this has happened. We tried to do a big friendly, but we couldn't get anybody. That was a really welcome article that we haven't seen literally ever. That's the first time I've ever seen us do something like that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was brilliant the way it was put out. You might not agree with it, you might be happy with it, but you're happy that there was communication coming through. I thought it was great.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's fantastic. It's what we've been asking for, as supporters for the last 12 months, arguably longer, but certainly for the last 12 months. So whether that's a change of manager, whether Hamshaw's had an input into that or not, or whether the club, the board, and the people sort of the decision makers, if you like, in terms of what goes out to the public have listened. Whatever it is, I think it's a positive thing. It was said many times last season about how we all felt disconnected from the club, and we did. And that the more the season progressed, the more disconnected we felt. Now, whether there was some issues within the club because of what was happening and because of the manager or what, I don't know. But there was last time Evans was here. There were issues between the football side of it and the rest of the club. So it wouldn't surprise me if that had an input into it as well. But he's gone. Hamshaw's come in, and all of a sudden we're starting to get what we've asked for, and it can only ever be a good thing. You might not agree with the content, You might not agree that, we wanted to get a big club or we couldn't get this over the line or whatever, but you're getting the information, what we haven't had for at least 12 months. So, yeah, it's got to be a good thing. Got to be.
Yeah, I agree. The friendlies, in line with that, I've got Accrington Stanley, Parkgate, Harrogate, Sheffield United at home, Steve. Are you happy with kind of what the club put out? It would have been nice for the Centennial to have a marquee friendly against somebody. But the club rightly put out there, because of everything else that's happening, it was difficult to get in. And if you take your Centennial hat off, these friendlies don't really matter anyway, do they? It don't matter.
I don't bother with friendlies, frankly, now. I used to get really excited about them years ago, but I can't be bothered with them. I mean, if you have a look at Sheffield United's friendlies, they're very similar to ours. So we're saying that Sheffield United aren't doing enough to attract opposition. I mean, one of them's against us, of course, but the marquee game, it's an interesting one. And I think, in an ideal world, it'd be great if we, played Aston Villa, for example, commemorate the League Cup, or Brentford for the Allen Lee game, or whatever it is. But, most clubs have their own problems during pre-season and pre-season games are meant to just be for fitness generally and trying a few things out. So I don't know whether they can maybe get something towards the back end of the season, after the season, just the following week. I don't know. I think they'll probably arrange something at some stage, but I'm not overly upset, frankly.
I think we had a relatively big. If you count the Richard Wood testimonial game last year, Andrew, as a big-ish one, not many people turned up for that one anyway. And I remember we played Mines as a kind of a big game a few years ago. Nobody turned up for that either. Yeah. So the club could have thought that. And these fans aren't free. A lot of these big clubs want you to pay a fee to play them. Yeah, and fans turn up right out of pocket anyway. So I don't mind. It would have been nice, but I don't mind.
We got to the Parkgate game. I don't think we went last year due to something else. But I think I've only ever been to one friendly at New York Stadium, and that was Sheffield United. And I think that was the first game, or that's the first time I'd gone, something along those lines. But other than that, I've just got no interest, like Steve. It is just getting minutes in the legs. It means nothing. You're going to really struggle to get Premier League opposition because they go to the US, they go to Australia, they go to the Far East. Plus, you've got the Club World Cup going on. Plus, under 18s, 19s, under 21 tournaments. I just don't think Rotherham United Centennial is going to be high on the agenda of any Premier League club. And like you say, even if we got Manchester United at home, I still don't think we'd fill it because Man United are not going to bring you big hitters. I mean, to be fair, they are 16th place Premier League club or whatever they are, but they're not going to bring any big hitters. So you'd be a lot of your youth players, and people are just not going to want to spend 15, 20 quid what it is to go and watch it. they're just an exercise in fitness, aren't they?
Yeah, big time. They could play more behind closed doors, to be fair. I think that most we're happy with that, to be fair. The Portugal trip has been confirmed, Mick. This has been offered. Fans can go to this, which I think is a good thing. I know other clubs do it, and it'd be good if the club could do something like a more regular basis where we can say, right, we're going every year to Portugal, and people can plan in advance and go over to Portugal and kind of join in a bit of fun. Due to obviously what's happened with manager change, I get why it hasn't happened earlier. But this is good that fans are able to go to watch the players in the sun. And I think in Matt Taylor in Spain, I think some fans went over and spent a bit of time watching the squad and everything else. I think I like these pre-season things where fans can go. Look at Scotland. Under Evans, I think a lot of people went to Scotland with those pre-season games as well. So it's nice. These pre-season trips were good for players, very important for players. But I also think it's nice for fans to be able to go over there as well. And I certainly have the opportunity anyway.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely, it is. It's just a shame it's not a big club that we're playing while we're over there. But
we're
going to Portugal. We're not playing Benfica. Why? What's the point? You know what I mean? No, yeah, it is good. It is good, and it can time with somebody's holiday or whatever. It's part of these pre-season tours that we did, certainly under Warney and what have you. They became a little bit notorious as far as the players were concerned, but they always play a game while we're over there, wherever it is, and fans always wanted to go. So it's that's been allowed. It's fantastic, good. If you can afford to and you want to, then get over there, enjoy it a bit of time in the sun, and watch football club in pre-season. Yeah, all for it, mate. I'm not going, but I'm all for it.
Yeah, I agree. Nick says, "What big club was going to want a friendly against us anyway? They just do kids." Shellstone, so it would be nice to play Partygate in New York. Should we could have fee with equivalent to what they would take at their place? Neil Bolton says, "Best you could probably do Celtic or Rangers anyway." Which again,
with that Partygate thing, I think the appeal of the Partygate thing is that you are basically, no disrespect to Partygate, what is equivalent to like a Sunday league or a very low conference league ground, and the fact that after the game you can walk on the pitch. You can have pictures with the players. It feels quite personal. Whereas if you're at the at New York Stadium, you're going to lose that, aren't you? You're going to lose that. And I think you'd probably end up getting more people at Parkgate than you would at New York. I think it'd end up being like that. So I get the principle of it, more money for them. But they sell out relatively quickly, don't they? I think it's probably our most oversubscribed away the season, isn't it? But it is. There's a fun factor to that one. I quite enjoy that.
Yeah, I agree. Right, kits have been released. They've got the United Town and County as what they refer to as, which I quite like. Do you have a favourite, Steve, of the three?
Yeah, funnily enough, I've had to choose one today because my lad's going to get me one for Father's Day.
Okay.
So I've gone for the. Was it brown and gold? Is it with the
with the V?
Yeah, because from what I can gather, that was the first shirt that Rotherham United wore.
I think so. Yeah.
Was it? So, and also I've got loads of red ones, and I don't mind the black and white stripe, but I think that one would be good. It'd be a bit of a change for me. I'm going to get a size up though because I've expanded since this time last year. That's my favourite, and just to the club, I think they've done two really good videos. The first one was a centenary one, the 8-minute long one, which actually had me feeling quite emotional.
Yeah.
And then the shirt one, I thought that was again an extraordinary piece of work for what we've been used to. I think kudos and congratulations to the club on both of them. I thought they were fantastic.
Yeah, completely agree. Nick says, I love the home kit. Second choice is the black and white. The gold one really doesn't like it. See, I'm opposite to that. I think gold's my favourite, followed by black and white. And the red one to me is just a standard home kit. I don't think there's anything special. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's pretty standard and normal, if that makes sense. It's just not a good play.
I rarely get excited about the home shirt because you're not going to change it much, are you? And if you change it that much, then people get really angry because it doesn't stick to the roots. I like the black and white one. The black and white one is my favourite. But if you wore that on holiday everybody will be thinking you supported Newcastle or Notts County or Juventus or something like that. At least I'm not a massive fan of the brown and gold one, but at least it's got an identity to it, and I don't think many others play in a similar shirt.
Yeah, it's pretty unique, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mick?
What? I don't know. I want to see him in flesh. I like the idea of the one with the V on the front, the gold one. What concerns me is the colour of it. I don't know whether it's going to, in real life, it's going to end up being a bit sort of beige rather than gold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're over 60, Mick. Therefore, you are beige. So
Good
get
point.
on with it.
I forgot about that, Steve. I got told off the other day for going out in a football shirt at my age. Anyway, I do like the home one. I really do like the home one. And I'm the black and white one, obviously, as well. Is really, really good. The gold one, jury's out on that for me.
Okay.
I'll see one in the flesh.
Fair enough. We want to give a shout out for the Millermen's records that were done by Kev Johnson and everybody else. So sort of Millermen 25 out. A lot of people went to pick theirs up on Thursday. A really good setup and nice, efficient system they had in place as well. It was really, really good to see Liam Brex and everybody else who was there that sorting it out. So that's really good. I think there's been somewhere else. We'll come to Thursday. Check out Twitter because there'll be something on there about where you can pick them up from for your next opportunity if you weren't able to do so. But it was really, really good. Enjoyed it. So well done to everybody involved in that one. Fixtures out a week on Thursday. The Carabao Cup is also drawn on the same day. I'm going to put this out there. Does anybody care about the preliminary games that the few League Two games teams have to play, or can I just gloss over it?
Gloss over it.
Good.
Not bothered.
Yes, good. I'll be honest with you. I've written a lot of stuff down. I thought, I'll get an hour out of this season. I've run out of things. It's done.
I tell you one thing we haven't talked about is it Ross Burberry? I don't know. The fitness. I don't know what his actual title is, but I wrote that down today because I think we were always renowned. I don't want to keep mentioning his name because you get accused on Twitter of loving the guy, but under bald-headed manager who currently works for MK Dons, we were quite fit, weren't we? We were always kind of to the last, and we chased stuff down. And then the last couple of years, that's kind of gone off a bit. Even under Taylor, it kind of waned, and then even worse last year. I think it's the unfittest I've seen a Rotherham United side. Ross Burberry worked for us quite a long period during Warney's tenure, didn't he? I think he left a bit. He left Inter to go somewhere else. I can't. But would that before or after Warner? Lincoln.
It was just.
Yeah,
it was in the promotion year. Apparently, he left in April of the promotion year.
Yeah, so he left near the end, and there were no coincidence that he was there when we were really fit. And you'd like to think that kind of going to come back. And we talk about Portugal. I'd like to hear stories of him getting at 6 a.m. and running up hills and stuff like that. That'll do for me. I just think that's a limit. That's kind of the minimum expectation of him. United side is a fit and we'll run to the death. We've not had that, and that'll do for me. I mean, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a season of kind of transition. I know we've mentioned that before, but I genuinely think that it really will be. But if we're fit and we've got some decent quality players in there, which we do have, we have a decent spine, then we might have a bit more success than we think.
Yeah,
there's an interview with him, isn't there, on the club website that he did. It's quite long actually, and he's one of them guys you think, God, I'm glad I'm not into fitness here because he beast me. Yeah. It's fascinating actually. It's well worth watching if you can find it. If you've got a spare 10 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. He's another guy. He's trying to set standards again, which I think we lost last year. Yeah. One of the main things he talked about was standards of the fitness side of things from him. I think that's fine.
And that's why Hugill's doing all this work.
Yeah,
seriously. Exactly. Hugill's showing it, and probably all the other players are doing it as well, because they know damn well that come the 30th they're going to get
battered.
Run to death.
You're going to get to a certain level of fitness knowing that he's coming in, and your first day you are going to be ran, and you are going to be ran. So there's no. I run a bit myself every now and again, and when you've not ran for a while and you're unfit, that first run is a killer. So at least prepare yourself, So when they're not vomiting outside at pitch at Roundwood, because that'll happen. So it's positive. It's positive to see that from Hugill. Like you said, they're probably all doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Nick's in the comments, it's going to be a really strong League One. You've got Cardiff, Luton, Plymouth, Huddersfield, Blackpool, Bolton, Barnsley, Stockport, us. So again, it's going to be a top 11 fighting for the top 6. Yeah, you got clubs in. I know Cardiff will be strong and up there, but they're in a mess. They haven't got a manager yet, but they will have very shortly. Huddersfield have appointed a really strange appointment in Lee Grant. But I've had some strong signings. Yeah, it's going to be a good league. Competitive. I think it's going to be really competitive. I don't think you'll see. We obviously won't see a Birmingham, will we? So it's going to be more competitive just for that.
You fancy Luton, wouldn't you? Just on the basis of the fact that they've got the second of their third-year parachute payments that'll come to them. So they're going to have a few quid to spend. The manager is the guy who did a really good job at Wycombe, isn't it? Bloomfield. So you'd fancy them. I agree with Cardiff. They're obviously probably the biggest club in the division, theoretically, but they are a mess. Following a few Cardiff fans on Twitter, they're not happy. They're constantly moaning. So yeah, it's an interesting league. I think it's going to be quite open.
Yeah, I completely agree. Josh Caswell says he hates to say it, but Donny mean business. Yeah, I think the clubs that are coming up, I don't think they're shooing to go back down like they have been at past. Tom Clever at Plymouth as well is a really good appointment as well. Yeah. Should be a good league. Anything else we need to mention?
I think so.
Well, I just think we need to see a team that's a damn sight more competitive than it was last season. If we can be fitter and more dynamic and actually get us off the seats, then we'll then see how it goes. But I'll be partially happy with that as a starting point. I don't want an Exeter first game of the season where it was appalling.
I think just getting it down wings and getting into area. I'm not saying playing traditional 4-4-2, but Rotherham United teams get it down wings. When you think of the good sides, we've always got it down the wings, got it into the area to a big lad. And that's what I want to see. I think personally, I feel just a little bit more confident when I start to see some players coming through the door. I think I just had, in advance of this, I've not really looked at the squad. I looked at the squad earlier on and I'm like, oh my. It's a little bit.
Not much.
We've got a decent spine. Like when you look from Dawson's a decent keeper. You've got Jules, probably Rafferty, Rafferty, Raggett. Then you've got Powell, McWilliams, Nombe up top. There's a decent spine there, but that's it at the moment.
Yeah, and we saw last year how much you need depth. We didn't have depth last year. We needed depth.
100%.
But yeah, I think it's good for Hampshire that the bar's quite low for this year expectation, so it can hopefully ease in with a bit of positive performances. Right, we will knock it on. The next time we're scheduled to be back is fixture release day, which is a week on Thursday, which will be the 26th. But if something happens between now and then, we may be persuaded to dust off the microphone briefly. We'll have a new logo, a new intro, and a new thumbnail from the next episode onwards. So that's something for you to look forward to if you're into logos.
Oh yes, are we into logos, mate?
If you're into logos,
some people are into that kind of thing.
Are they really?
Hey, for balance, shall I just say I'm into logos just so we've got at least one of them? Just for balance. I love a good logo.
So watch out for that. We'll have a new intro as well, which is going to be centenary themed by the RUFC is going to do that for us. We should shout out the Only Millers on Twitter, is the Twitter. Brad from Only Millers, who is on Twitter. He's doing all the logos and intros and stuff for us going forward, and he's done some great stuff. So thank you very much. They will be seen on the next episode going forward. Make sure you have subscribed if you haven't done so already on YouTube, and if you're listening to iTunes, Spotify, make sure you've followed, subscribed, whatever it allows you to do through there. We will see you next time. Mick, thank you very much. It's been interesting.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Steve, thank you very much.
Grand Prix.
You're very welcome. The car in front has just won it, by the
way. Interestingly enough, Steve, I do know that the car that crossed the line first did not win.
Yeah, and that funny black and white flag was waved.
No, because it was safe to go flying first.
Anyway, Andrew, thank you very much for being on for your full debut, was it, as the service?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it, gents. Cheers.
So thank you everybody for watching.
Me
We'll
too.
see you all next time.
See ya.
As always.
Bye. Bye.
Cheers, up the Millers.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant. Hugill with it. Wood's got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. The magic man has come up with another trick. Well, here's a chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kill.